thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, Prime Minister Davis speaking out on the public service salary review, days after some 17,000 public service workers were given an increase independent of their union agreement. The Prime Minister finds himself still on the defensive tonight. Also tonight, the PLP finds itself defending its win on Monday. Many, including former PLP Attorney General Sean McSweeney, says it's nothing to be proud about. In fact, McSweeney says the F&M came out looking better. We'll talk about that. Days after residents in Mayaguana sent me a video detailing the state of the island's lone clinic, good news as Robert Caron's Backswing network begins tangibly rolling out its plan to improve healthcare and the access to healthcare on the islands of Maikal. I'll tell you more about that coming up. And then later this evening, residents of Exuma continue to speak out and ask questions about the status of the Exuma Rosewood project, saying the island, in particular the Keys, need the economic stimulus. It's all straight ahead this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines, Week in Review Fridays. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, following mixed public servants' reaction, tonight Prime Minister Davis himself is responding in kind. This after confirmation from the Minister of Economic Affairs, Michael Alcides, that public servants have been paid their long-awaited salary adjustments, and the Office of the Prime Minister explaining how the allotment was made. We get this story from Delana Roca, and then we come back and talk about it.
I'm disappointed that they're not. The increases is something that I gave to them, and they will have an opportunity to during the course of their negotiations for their new industrial agreement, to raise those issues there. That was not a matter that was negotiated by them. It was something I did for them.
Prime Minister Philip Davis says he too is disappointed by some of the aggrieved responses from public servants after the government confirmed that salary reviews for the 17,000 public officers have been completed.
And so there you heard Prime Minister Davis, of course, speaking today to reporters after leaving an event, talking about that public service salary review. Many say, listen, man, what these crumbs about? Y'all, and in fact, they said, y'all giving us crumbs, brave, from your table. And others have kind of just dissected that and in so many ways, quite frankly. We're going to jump in right there this evening, though. We're going to talk about that, the response to it, the fact that it's just become a fallout and something that everybody, those involved and those looking in from the outside, are confused about. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. My contributors, Leslie Miller, Garth Rosborough, and Howard Johnson. Good evening to each of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, colleagues.
I don't know, is Howard frozen or can he
Howard,
not
you
hear?
good? Yeah.
Eric, let's see what's happening with Howard. Let's jump in, gentlemen, while Eric get Howard sorted out. Garth, your thoughts about how this is all, it entered the public space. We heard what it was. In fact, many of us sat on the sideline saying, whoa, this is, should we all be able to get a salary review? But then it's turned into a whole lot more. We saw the unions at one point protesting, saying, listen, you don't meddle with any public servant employee without coming through the union. And then, of course, the payments were made at some point this week. And so the union then responded, what is this crumbs you're all talking about? You think this what the people deserve? Of course, we are speaking of the line staff sort of area and demographic of the public service. Garth, take it on.
Well, I'm looking at this and I'm scratching my head actually. It's very few things that actually causes that. Here we have a statement to give an increase. The whole idea of an increase is always welcoming news to most Bahamians. And of course, an excitement is going to be encouraged or is going to be created. Once that excitement was created, the expectation, Shanique Miller, is what is the issue. The expectation is that we're going to get it by a certain time frame, and then it's going to be a certain amount. And immediately, we saw Bahamians taking out their calculator and beginning to calculate what this increase or increment will actually turn into. And so the expectation of, oh my word, this has long been waited for, we're finally going to be adjusted to a standard of acceptance. And once that standard was not delivered on the date that was actually promised, then we saw a big stir by the unions who got quickly involved to say, you know what, you think this is a game, eh? We were promised today, we want our money today, we need our money now, we had expectations for our money, we have bills that we need to pay, we have people that we owe, where's our money? Y'all joking. Y'all think we just play, then watch what's gonna happen to y'all later on. Then comes the response. You will get it before December. And right here on Beyond the Headlines, Shanique Miller, we all sat here, and I said to the people, you will get your increment, I'm sure, by Black Friday. I said that to you. And I'm not a prophet, I'm not trying to be no spinster, but I'm saying to you, I knew you would get it by Black Friday, and you did. What you did get, however, Shanique Miller, is you did not get the amount that you expected. So now you have another issue. So what we now have in the Bahamas is a culture of no appreciation. If you give someone $1, they expect 5. You give them 5, they expect 10. You give them 10, they expect 20. I've seen this even in the by-election, Shanique Miller, where you build someone's house, but because you painted it the wrong color, they're upset with you.
No way.
Of course, I've seen
No
it.
way.
Leslie Miller.
You know, I find it incredible when I read the newspapers yesterday. Mr. Davis and his team decided that it was time for an increase in the base salary of public servants, especially those on the lower tier. Michael Keatis, who knows what he's doing, and the other gentlemen in there, including Mr. Wilson and those from Ministry of Finance, did an in-depth study and decided this is what the country could afford at this time. I think it's $20 million that was spent towards that. Mind you, there was no negotiation with the union. It was not a union matter at all. It was just something the government felt, again, Mr. Davis, being a regular fellow from the blocks, felt that, listen, my people need an increment. Christmas is coming. This is the fourth one they've given them, by the way.
And to help...
The fourth one in 4 years without the union involvement.
Against the sting of inflation, the cost of living is still very high.
He knows how high the cost of living. He knows the price of the food store. One of the damning those things is really the cost of apartment dwelling. Because of the Airbnb that is really taking over the market. Stapleton and the rest of those places are gone. And when you did this, because you didn't do it when you say you was hoping to do it, then the union stepped in and made demands that we want it done now. And when you did it, they said, well, who won these couple of dollars? And the increase was anywhere from 17.5% to 35%, you know.
No,
wasn't no small, yes, to 30, yes, 17.5%, and some people got as much as I think 31% increase.
Are you sure that's
on
not
that,
the same?
Yes, on their base salary.
Well, I heard people got $200,
Their base salary.
$300, and $500 increases. That's what I heard.
And some more than that.
Yeah, but that's what I
Ones
heard.
that are lower tier.
But I think those are the senior, right?
Okay.
Senior people I heard got
who
some 500.
hadn't had any adjustment in over 2 decades. But this has not been attempted, you all, and because I went from the time this started and this argument started, I went and I spoke with former union leaders, two of whom who were here on the show, and directly involved in this exercise. I spoke with former labor ministers, public service ministers, just to find out exactly what was being attempted and what was happening.
And what the government was really trying to do, you know, was to get the basic pay for the average Bahamian that worked for government departments to try to be on parity with those of the quasi-government corporations, which, by the way, will never happen.
No,
that's why the country is broke now.
it won't happen.
There's no damn way in the world they can be with BC or BTC and the other corporation. It ain't gonna happen, water and sewage. Because those guys used to put gun to the people's head, boom, and turn off everything one time. And after 3 days, in my own experience over, 12 years at BEC, they just turn you off. So everybody got scared, and the government decided, listen, instead of going through these harassments, let us try to see how close we can get. Over the years. The last 4 years they give 4 increments. This will be the 5th increment now coming up.
They've given a handful of increments
And
to
yet they
make up,
complain.
because if you all remember, and I imagine perhaps it was the COVID years, increments had been paused for that reason, because of course everything was sort of at a standstill.
Yes.
Howard, jump in and join in this discussion, please.
Yes, good evening, Shanique. Good evening, colleagues, and good evening, Bahamas. Shanique, from the beginning, when we started talking about this several months ago, I felt like this was a very sad situation, and it's actually a dilemma. I feel for the civil servants and the teachers, because I am the product of a teacher's salary. My father died when I was 6 years old. My mother taught in the government system for 47 years as a teacher, a regular teacher, an administrator, and as a principal. And so I know what it is for a civil servant to stretch a salary to
And she's
raise
taking home less than
kids.
$1,500 a month
And
right
so
now.
And I feel for them. What I don't understand is for all of the years that I've seen union and government interactions, and I've seen communications, meetings, and negotiations, etc. I cannot understand for the life of me. It's baffling how these people can get into meetings, into negotiations. They can talk, they can sing kumbaya, and then when everybody goes out in front of the cameras, it's this wide. And nobody seems to know what the other person is talking about. Nobody seems to know what the other person believes that the other group agreed to. Yep. And it just seems so crazy. So when I heard Ms. Wilson talking the other night, and then I saw Mr. Ramming's remarks the other day, yesterday, or this morning, it was far apart. It's like Ms. Wilson doesn't know what Mr. Ramming is talking about, and Mr. Ramming doesn't know what Ms. Wilson is talking about. I don't understand for the life of me why we are always at this place where everybody they've had meetings, Shanique, they've sat down, and Ms. Wilson has said, the Prime Minister and I, we have met, and we seem to have an agreement. There are still some other things that need to be ironed out. Mm-hmm. And now today, we have a wide disparity of who was supposed to get what, when it was supposed to be given. And I can't understand for the life of me why these things cannot be resolved in the best interest of all parties concerned, and most importantly, in the best interest of the nation.
Was it crumbs? Was it crumbs though? That this has been the headline, and this is what some people are saying. Man, all that man, that's how much y'all giving people. Like, was it crumbs?
Listen, a part of a cookie is crumbs. A part of a loaf of bread is crumbs. A part of a cake is crumbs. And if you lose too many crumbs, you won't have a meal.
You ain't got no cake.
So what Bahamian people have to understand is that sometimes you can only spare a crumb. And if it's only a crumb that you get, it's a crumb that you did not have before.
More than what you had yesterday.
But if we go ahead and give away all the crumbs to the ants and all the crumbs to the roaches and the rats, then guess what happens to us? We have no meal. And so the average Bahamian doesn't fully understand that even in the little that you got, you have to make much out of that. Because if we gave you too much, then we lose our entire country and our nation. And so at this time, yes, it does seem small, but the sacrifice I can assure you, it was enormous.
Well, it's $20 million what they gave.
Listen
you should see what happens.
Again, it's how we kind of
gotta fix it.
It's how we manage it, right? What gotta fix what, Howard?
This is psycho season, don't forget.
And our civil servants, listen, Shanique, I understand, I understand what they're going through. Now, guess what? Many of these civil servants, they do what they're supposed to do. But I know that some of them who are making the loudest noise, when you go into a public service building to get government services done for you, it's like entering a war zone with some of them, Some of them don't know how to treat people, they have no respect, and they have no customer service skills. And some of these, their voices are the loudest making noise for this money. Some of them do their job. Many of them do an honorable job. But what I'm saying is, Shanique, we exist in the realities of what the government can and cannot do.
What I
Sometimes.
know, the reality is it was a yeoman's effort to try and up
Yes.
the base salary of everyone involved.
Absolutely.
The
They did it
entire
4 times.
17,
Absolutely.
the
4
entire
times.
no, but I mean, but no, see,
70,000.
no, but you see, that is what we're talking about. The 4 times, Leslie, that you're referring to. That's union agreements and deciding different
Yes.
increments. I'm talking this separate and apart, unexpected thing.
Yeah.
I think it was a good thing because to try
I
and
think
at
so
least
too.
to try and at least increase that base salary that the public
Yes.
service proper is underpaid. We know
Yeah,
that.
they
They
cannot
cannot be
doubt about that.
compared, it cannot be compared to the
Yeah.
quasi-government
No,
corporations
no.
or even corporate
Could never.
Bahamas.
Could never.
And so to
Actually,
try
you
and
have to
up
do
that
better
is what
with
I'm
they
saying.
have.
Yeah.
You have to manage your money better now.
But
Even
you-
though you might see this as crumbs, whether you see it as crumbs or not, you still have a salary that you have been making, and you have to manage your money better, because Bahamian people, we always find money for what we deem our priorities to be. We have to learn how to manage our financial resources better, whether the government gives us little extra, whether they give us nothing, or whether they give us much.
But you know, it's interesting. This morning, we had an appointment with someone from the Ministry of Works in the electrical department to have some electricity turned on for one of the government entities. The guy said meet you there at 10:30. Didn't show at 10:30. We kept calling him. 11 o'clock came. 12 o'clock came. 1 o'clock came. Still didn't answer. So when I personally called the Honourable Minister, Clay Sweden, I said, Mr. Sweden, this is an emergency matter. The gentleman answered his phone. He told me, say, Leslie, I then called his superior. The fella still didn't take my call. That's after about 7 calls.
And this after,
and after
this
when I
after
came
the
on the
minister,
show.
and this after you spoke with the minister.
And yes.
That he said,
He
listen,
refused to
is-
call me back.
I tell you.
This is a public servant
He said-
that works for the people
Yeah,
that is
but
highly
this
paid,
will be- this will
get
be the end of it.
transportation,
We could-
provided with free transportation from us, free telephone, and he refused to answer my call.
Gentlemen, we could talk about that
know.
forever and a
Refuse.
day. We could talk about that forever and a day of how many public
Refuse.
servants are less than to be desired. When
Refuse.
you find ones where you get
Yeah.
great service, you're stunned.
Refuse.
And stumped.
The minister
But
had to
listen,
call.
listen,
And he still
gentlemen.
he
He still
called
didn't
back.
answer the
And
minister.
he never showed up.
He ain't checked
And
the
he never
minister.
showed up.
It's been 4
He
days
said
since the
he'll be there
PLP's
longer than
Darren
the
Pickstock
minister.
won the
He been
Golden
there
Isles
longer than the
by-election.
minister.
Let's move on,
All
gentlemen.
right.
It's been 4 days since the PLP's Darren Pickstock won the Golden Isles by-election. Many have scrutinized and analyzed the win, saying it wasn't that impressive for any number of reasons. Prime Minister Davis spoke to his candidate's performance today. Take a listen.
We won. That's my response to them. We won. Don't forget, this is a democracy. Voters have a choice to vote or not to vote. That's a choice. And if they don't vote, that's a choice. Democracy has free will. So if they don't want to vote or participate, that's their choice. For my part, I'm going to ensure that those persons who support me, support my party, I'm going to ensure that I inspire them to vote. I'm going to try to ensure they are not apathetic.
Among those speaking out, former Attorney General, PLP Attorney General, Sean McSweeney. McSweeney says opposition leader Michael Pintard has no reason to feel defeated after Monday's by-election, as his candidate, Brian Brown, won the majority of polling divisions. And McSweeney said Pintard emerged in a stronger position. Now, gentlemen, let's jump right in right there. What do you make of McSweeney speaking out against what is still a win for whomever it was that came out on top? And in this case, Darren Pickstock from an organization that we believe McSweeney has affiliation with. But what do you make of him sort of scrutinizing, atomizing, and just dissecting that win the way he has?
Well, the former Attorney General Sean McSweeney is an honorable man, a well-respected man in the nation. We thank him for his service to the nation. And at this particular time, for him to get involved publicly and speak on a national platform for our public hearing, that the royal opposition and its leader ought to be proud as to winning the majority of polls, but still losing the by-election. I kind of want to understand that. I don't know if there's any glory in coming second, third, or fourth. I've never been one to be persuaded as such. I love to win. Winning is where it's at, and if we went into the by-election, why wasn't that statement made prior to the by-election itself. Why wasn't mention made that I like how the Free National Movement is looking, I like how Michael Pintard is organized and moving forward, and I think whatever happens, they're going to look amazing at the end of this by-election. But we hear this afterwards as if he has an issue with somebody maybe in the PLP, possibly, because it has to be an issue because who glorifies second place? Who glorifies winning a number of polls or the popularity vote and still losing a whole entire election?
You mentioned this gentleman being a learned and respected gentleman.
And
There's no way he is going to have whatever the issue is that will influence his summation of what took place on Monday or the outcome of Monday.
Well, then you know what? He needs to go for breakfast in the morning with Michael Pintard and really truly ask him how he feels in Jesus' name and get the truth. I guarantee you he didn't feel good about that night because he disappeared for a brief time that night.
Yep.
Brian Brown disappeared for a brief time that night. We couldn't find them in town. We couldn't find Jerry Roker. Nowhere here in town. And then they finally had to come to the mic and say, you know what, it is what it is. And I actually salute them for coming back and giving the nod to the winner, Mr. Darren Pickstock, who came in just some 40 days before and won. That is amazing to me because we did not know who Darren Pickstock was. But the machinery, like I keep telling you people, if you allow that machinery to go to work, you finish. And this is where I go ahead and hit Michael Pintard across the head and say, I told you so. I told you, do not play with the PLP. You cannot relax. You got to get busy. You got to get out there, and you got to make yourself into a winner. That did not happen in that by-election.
But Michael Pintard isn't the one speaking out today, though. Yes, Howard.
So, Shanique, here's the thing. The former Attorney General was correct in cautioning the PLP not to become complacent and intoxicated with the win. I agree with that, especially when we look at the dynamics that are taking place in the region. Now, we talk about Andrew Holness a lot. Mr. Holness hung on to power, losing a 20-plus seat majority and ending up with a 5 or 6 seat majority, right, in recent elections in Jamaica. Prior to that election, in Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM lost to the UNC, bringing Kamala Persad-Bessassa back into power in Trinidad. And just yesterday in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Comrade Ralph Gonsalves, who was the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines from 2001, lost that election yesterday. The NDP beat the ULP in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? And he was the only one who held this seat.
The only one.
He was the only one who held the seat. So incumbency is looking weak in our region. So he was right to tell the PLP not to rest on their laurels. However, when we move along with the rest of the remarks that the Attorney General made, I think he is somewhat mistaken. Here's the first one. Mr. Attorney General, former Attorney General, said that they won the majority of the polling divisions, as God said, 9 out of the 18, I believe it was. Well, in the system of government where we count the votes and award the seats in the Bahamas, it's called first past the post, not first past the polling division. Exactly. Winning the polling divisions doesn't win you the seat.
No.
First past the post means voters select their favorite candidate or first preference candidate, and that candidate who receives the most votes, even if it is not a majority, that is called a plurality. If you win a plurality of the votes, i.e. the most votes, even if it is not 50 plus 1% of the votes, you still win the seat. So the former Attorney General is incorrect to assess that that is a win for the Free National Movement because they won most of the polling divisions. Seats in the House of Assembly in the Bahamas are not awarded based on who wins the most polling divisions.
Yes. Now listen, we are just getting started, of course. This was, everybody was a bit taken aback by the way he sort of described it and talked about it. But he also said, listen, the FNM is in better suited. And I'll tell you who else is holding that opinion. Former Deputy Prime Minister Brent Simonet. Well, when we come back, we will hear a lot of what Mr. Simonet had to say to the media yesterday. Beyond the Headlines is just getting started. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this.
It's Christmas time at Grand Bahama Tiles with 5 days of savings you don't want to miss. Starting this Saturday, November 29th, get 25% off all tiles in stock. Then on Monday, December 1st, savings drop to 24% off, ending Thursday, December 4th with 21% off. The early bird really catches the worm this Christmas as savings drop each day. Hurry down for early Christmas savings at Grand Bahama Tiles. Call them at 352-7920.
Crossing the Sidney Poitier Bridge just got easier. Now you can pay your bridge tolls using debit or credit cards.
No more searching for cash.
Just tap and go. Quick, secure, and easy.
Modern convenience, same trusted service from the Bridge Authority.
Welcome to Sunburst Super Christmas Sale, where you buy 5 and get 1 free. Prices start at just $28.95 for top quality wall paints and high gloss oil paints for $55.95 a gallon. Lucky customers get a chance to win a 42-inch TV every Saturday starting now. The drawing will take place at Sunburst Paints the first week of December. You can also have a chance to win one of 2 65-inch TVs during the month of December. So hurry on down to Sunburst Paints on Harold Road, where you buy 5 and get 1 free. Happy holidays, everybody!
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, former Deputy Prime Minister Brent Simonet is suggesting, and boldly so, that despite the Free National Movement's losing both the 2023 West Grand Bahama and Bimini by-election and the recent, on Monday, Golden Isles by-election, the Free National Movement remains in a strong position to win the 2026 general election. Simonet claims the governing Progressive Liberal Party had to throw every resource into securing the 2 seats, and argues that when the entire country goes to the polls, that level of concentration will not be possible for individual constituencies. Simonet believes the national outcome will be far less favorable for the PLP.
So that's Dr. Minnis's view. A lot of people think he shouldn't contest the next election. He should retire and go home the way most prime ministers, former prime ministers who lose an election do. So we all have our opinion. I think Dr. Minnis should either commit to being an FNM or move out the way.
Being an FNM or move out of the way. Former Deputy Prime Minister Brent Simonet having a whole lot to say. First, you heard him talk about, just as Sean McQueenie did, he holds the view that, listen, no, the FNM came out looking pretty good after Monday's poll and Pickstock's win. And then he went on to say that Dr. Hubert Minnis, former Prime Minister, who himself this week spoke out and said, listen, the FNM should not have contested, just like former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram had the opinions as well, should not have contested certainly Golden Isles, and he felt as well the FNM should not have contested West Grand Bahama and Bimini. Now, gentlemen, come back in, please. Your thoughts on Mr. Simonet's comments that he made to the media, saying that, listen, just like McSweeney, listen, no, the FNM has a lot to be proud of. And then Dr. Minnis, if you're not going to support the FNM, go stand down, eh? In fact, stand down so much, retire.
What I like with this conversation, Shanique Miller, I think Brent Simonet is another gentleman that we all can appreciate in this country for what he has done in the past. However, when he speaks about the PLP pouring all of their resources into this by-election in a stellar fashion, and when we go into a general election, those resources will not be available, I ask the question now, if you so believe that the Free National Movement was looking so stellar and so significant in this by-election in West Grand Bahama and Bimini and in Golden Isles constituency, yet your party still has not yet been unified. Yet there's still that same minister that you want to retire who simply wouldn't go away and is a menace to the Free National Movement. What type of resources do you believe that the Free National Movement would need to find? Because we all knew that the Free National Movement was acting as if they was broke. They showed up late to Brian Brown. I think Brian Brown is one of the greatest and best candidates that the Free National Movement now has standing. And he did not get the full support that he should have had as a resource. And he showed up late. Everyone showed up late, and the numbers were small. I was there. I went to every function you had. I sat in my car, too scared to go amongst the crowd. You might just stole me for telling the truth. So I stayed in my car next to the police officers, but I saw you. And you did not put the full resources that you boast about that you're going to have in a general election into Brian Brown. That's why you lost. Now you tell me, what type of resources will the Free National Movement pour into Brian Brown's campaign going into a general election? There won't be sufficient for him and everyone else. You got 39 candidates. And that minister fellow you spoke about that needs to retire, hell in Kalani. You better find some money, Michael Barnett and the Free National Movement. You better pump some money because Golden Isles showed you. If you really, truly want to win, you got to come sit here on Beyond the Headlines and say what you got to say. Come see God Roseborough, like how Darren Peckstock came to see even me, and say what you got to say. Spend your money right, spend it with the right people, give the people what they ask for if you want to win. And if you don't want to win, shut your mouth, put your wallet away, and go home. You go home.
This is a dire situation for the FNM, right? And what I mean is this. The Free National Movement does not need learned gentlemen and big-time FNMs like Brent Simonet and former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram, allowing them to become complacent, allowing the FNM to truly self-evaluate and address the real issues that are going on in the party by giving them a false sense of security and this kind of false hope that everything is okay and this loss is actually a win or this loss is not as bad as it would seem. So, Shanique, the last two by-elections, right, were a temperature check, using the words, right? They were a temperature check to gauge the voter sentiment in the Bahamas at two pivotal junctures in the current Davis administration term. The first by-election for West Grand Bahama and Bimini took place in 2023, right? And this one is taking place almost at the end of the term. And so what this means is that these two by-elections were dress rehearsals, if I may, for the general election, which is the big dance. And so you cannot say that the loser of the dress rehearsals are going to win the big dance over the winners of the dress rehearsals. Off of what? What are you basing saying that they're going to win the big dance off of when they just lost two dress rehearsals for the big dance? You have to evaluate from something more substantive if you are going to tell supporters of the party that you have been the leader of and the deputy leader of for many years. Do not give them that false sense of security. This is not a good thing.
What about the call
finally, last thing, when we add the FNM and COI votes, you cannot say FNM plus COI equals a majority of the votes. The FNM plus COI votes did not win the seat. The person with the most votes wins the seat. And the FNM and the COI are not the same. The COI is their own party coming for the FNM's things, more so than trying to be the government. So you cannot lump those two together because they are not the same party.
Thank you, Howard. Leslie, quickly.
You know, one can certainly say now that the heat is on for all of the candidates in the next general election coming up. I don't think that the PLP, and especially Mr. Davis, who is really the anchor for the PLPA, has not lost any degree of love between him and the Bahamian people. And again, that's because of his personality, person always trying to help everybody, PLP or FNM. And when you compare him with the leader of the FNM and the things that this man would say and the way he treated the former Prime Minister, Minnis, and the disregard that he had for the deputy leader, along with Mr. Menace, Mr. What's his name, the deputy, along with him, the Minister of Works, the former Minister of Works, when they were totally discarded. As we go door to door through the New Providence and even on the Family Islands, people still have this bad memory in their mind that if these fellas could disregard the leader and the deputy to that extent that you give none of those men an opportunity to represent their constituencies again, what would you do to us if you don't like me anymore? Or if you have something against my family or something I might have done to you as a PLP, Voices in F&M? And I say again, the leader of opposition is a family member of mine, Lockhart and Pinhart and those from Ragged Island. And some of the things, the way he says things frighten me. That here's a guy who would go to his way to try to destroy people. And that bothers the hell out of me. For some reason, it bugs me. That's never happened to me in my life.
That's true.
I said, this guy could really, if you get on his bad side,
Jesus.
he will do his best to take you out and obliterate you. And that's frightening for the average, ordinary behemoth that has no resources to fight a government.
Well, gentlemen, let's move forward.
And that frightens me.
Let's move forward. Speaking of frightening, the absolutely unbelievable state of the clinic in Mayaguana, the lone clinic, is disappointing to see. Residents sent this video to be on the headlines just 3 days ago. Take a look.
It's the clinic in Mayaguana. When the Minister of Health that was visited this particular clinic, I was also here with him and his crew, and they did the walkthrough. We did inspections. We saw all the products that we're having. It was then decided that this building was no longer deemed feasible for use, and so what we did was we went to a new site location. One was located. We were promised it was going to be built from 2023 to 2025. I would say at that time everyone hopes were very high because it was a proud moment for us Lagonians to know something good was coming to us because we were supposed to get in a state of.
Of course, you all see that. I mean, it's just so shocking to see that, and this is the far-flung southern islands, you all. I mean, we don't understand what the Ministry of Health has been doing in terms of various health centers, clinics, that kind of thing on these islands. Certainly, of course, the Member of Parliament, not sure exactly what role he played or didn't play, but you all see the state of that right there. Your thoughts on how Mayaguana, now, things are happening. We'll get to that in a minute, but you all remember the state of that airport? That's been like that for years. This clinic, I'm sure, perhaps has obviously been allowed just to crumble to get to that state.
We had a group that started
but look at that. What you say, Leslie?
We had a group that started that back in 2005. We gave them a permission. They wanted a situation where they wanted a hell of a lot of land to build this resort. And I was always of the opinion it wasn't a resort, it was them reselling our land as a hell of a community with the beautiful beaches that we had. And nothing has happened, I understand, to date. Major company, but look like hackers coming to this country, present you with an incredible proposal, and nothing happens. They're really trying to get your real estate. That's what they're trying to get. Remember what happened to the group in Grand Bahama that Minister knows what's that group name now? No,
which one?
The group who still got the land. They still have the land, you know.
I think I group, I'm not sure.
The jokes, man, the fellas couldn't even make a car payment.
Man,
the group. Remember one of them lose the damn car, they going back home. And the fella took up the car. That's what that group was, man. You know, that they had given that. Who got so much play? The group, man, that came here.
Oh my God, at Freeport.
In Freeport.
You all remember, come on.
Huh?
In Grand Bahama.
Yes.
It happened in West Grand Bahama, I think.
Yes.
Who's the people? And
okay.
everything was Gin.
East Riding Rock.
Gin, y'all, Gin.
No, it wasn't Gin.
Oh, Gin? No?
No, it wasn't Gin. No,
so
there's another group. One little group they found somewhere in Virginia and over to Florida, where all the cars were repossessed. And yet, you remember the guy even signed his name, or signed another man's name, remember? He signed the name.
Oban,
that's who it was. Oban. Well, that was that same caliber of people who come here, and they still, I understand, got the title for the land.
No, man. We got to stop playing games.
I understand they say got the title for our land.
Listen, you all, in order for us to quickly, and I'll give Garth and Howard an opportunity to respond really quickly, but I just want to bring this in before we have to wrap up the segment. Robert Karen, you all remember, and the reason I'm so happy, when I saw this video sent to me on Tuesday evening, and I said, you all give me an opportunity, please, to investigate it. I didn't get very far, but this morning, I woke up this morning and checked my phone because you all remember Robert Karen. He's an aspirant for the upcoming general election, but I'm talking about what he's doing other than that with Backswin, the Backswin network. I was so stunned. He said, oh, good morning, Shanique. The first of the dozens of ambulances have arrived in the capital. You all, that's the best news I heard. And I thought about that video and I'm like, I have to show what's going on because I can't get with the Ministry of Health. So, but get this though, here's somebody, and this is what we need, gentlemen, as we go into this next general election. We need members of parliament who are going to be equipped, who are going to be able to step in and change and get it done and change the circumstances on these various families, especially these far-flung islands. And so listen to me, Backswin the network is now putting and showing that plans to disclose, improve, and the access to healthcare on the islands of Michael is a real deal. Today, the first of dozens of new ambulances from Abu Dhabi arrived in the capital. Take a look at these ambulances. Well, not the ambulances, of one of them, and then we'll discuss. Take a look at what's going to be happening in Southern Islands and around elsewhere.
He's built. It has a lift, so you know the physical take it down. Mercedes-Benz.
And so you all, that right there put a smile on my face because truly nobody deserves, every resident deserves access to proper health care. Yeah, absolutely. And to be able to have, when you look at that video, Garth, Howard, Leslie, when you look at that video and know that that will soon be a reality in Mayaguana, Inagua, Auckland, Crooked Island, Long Key.
Yep.
Let's just talk about that.
Well, great things are happening in my mother's hometown of Mayaguana. She hails from Betsy Bay. And I remember, Shanique Miller, you were down there at one point at the airport. And we were saying how deplorable the airport looked. And of course, there's some work being done right now as we speak for the airport. Backswin is doing some amazing things down there. Mr. Darwin, Mr. Burrows, and other Bahamian principals who are part of that organization, they're doing an excellent job. And what I want to just reiterate, Shanique Miller, is that you now see where Bahamians who truly love their country are not only saying that they love the Bahamas, they're actually investing in the Bahamas. So whether Robert Karen had always planned to be a politician, I cannot say. But his principal partners, they've all thrown their hands in the ring, they're all investing their monies, and they're all making an investment in us, the Bahamian people. I say kudos, I love what I'm seeing, make one us strong, let's keep it going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Shanique, I agree. My favorite MP in the current parliament is Adrian White for various reasons. And my favorite candidate going into the 2026 general election is definitely Robert Karen. I've been watching Backswin from the beginning, from first heard the acronym, and I really am impressed by the work. But as a candidate, this is the stuff that we need to be doing. Now, let's make no mistake, not everybody has the resources of a Robert Karen and a Sabas. But what you need to be doing is you need to be uplifting communities and uplifting people. Quality of life improvements. That is what this is going to bring to Mayaguana. These ambulances are a quality of life improvement for those residents. Lives are going to be saved, like Leslie was saying. And we should be grateful that we have this caliber of candidate to go down in a 5-island constituency like Michael, wanting to put in the work and capable and having the resources, the vision, and the plan to carry out such things.
Yes. You know, it's really heartening that some of the MPs have the heart and the wherewithal within them to make a difference, to show that this is what I'm going to do for you. If you elect me as your representative, I'm going to show you, instead of talking about it. Even though I'm not the Minister of Health, I'm still responsible for your welfare. And this is what real representation is about. And I want to also thank Sabas for the job that he's doing. Down his concern, I saw last week a lady, pregnant lady, with 2 children, and she's pregnant again. And he's now repairing the houses in there, getting fellas from the blocks to do the work with his construction company to get it done. This is what real representation is all about. Making the difference in the lives of the average, ordinary Bahamian potcake, who makes up 65% of your population and 65% of the electric. They're the ones who are going to put you in parliament or take you out. And they're the people you're going to be looking for. The upper class and middle class don't really need the help. It's the downtrodden that we have an obligation to see to it that we make their life a better place. Yes. And I'm so proud, and Mr. Karen is of that same caliber. Yeah. 2 men from different backgrounds, but 2 men that has the heart that I want to make a difference. I want the people to see what I would wish to do on behalf, because I'm so proud that they would put their faith in me, that I'm going to represent to the best of my ability. And forget I got to go begging people. If I got to go in my pocket, that's what I will do. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're elected for. And thank God that there are others here in the country who've been doing that over the years and will continue to do so. You just need more of them and less of the ones who really come for the ride, take care of a couple of people, and then they disappear.
Well, you know, Shanique, I was in the Beige Road area yesterday, and I stood there near the light, and everyone passing just about, not just everybody, just a whole lot of people were wearing the Sabas shirts. So I asked the gentleman, what's going on? He said, every day, these people know they can go to the park and get something solid to eat.
He's feeding people.
And so even after the by-election, this Sabas that they spoke about, who was down in Golden Isles giving away free stuff, is still giving away free stuff even in his community. And so this is the type of people that we're looking for to lift the Bahamian people. People can invest in our hospital, invest in our clinics, invest in our public service to help the Bahamas become the great nation that it is. We need more investors who really, truly care when they decide to run in politics.
I am of the view, just what you said just now, Bahamian politics, because of the needs and the growing needs of the people, have got to also level up. Yes. And we need people who can actually help the average person make that happen. Quality of life, not a handout, y'all, a hand up. Okay, and that's what's needed. And I'll tell you, I have not been talking about what Sabas has been doing. I've been seeing a few videos, but I've not mentioned it on this show. Not that I'm not going to mention it. He's a candidate just like everybody else. And I will
look doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, and there's a time that will come that I will look at what he's doing and talk about it.
Yes.
But
many of them are doing a good job.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and we need to highlight those who are doing the job.
We absolutely do.
And those who are not.
And that is what temperature check. And that is what temperature check is all about. Yes, sir. I thank you, gentlemen, so very much. Leslie Miller, Garth Roseborough, Howard Johnson, thank you very, very much. Listen, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to take, speaking of things needed to happen, there are investors. We know that we talk about our politicians and those of them who need to be pushed to the forefront, and I stand by that. There are also some investors, though, here in the Bahamas who want to make life better for the average Bahamian, especially on family island communities. Why are they being stopped? Well, that's what the residents of Exuma are asking. What's happening with Rosewood Exuma? We talk about that after the break.
It's Christmas time at Grand Bahama Tiles with 5 days of savings you don't want to miss. Starting this Saturday, November 29th, get 25% off all tiles in stock. Then on Monday, December 1st, savings drop to 24% off, ending Thursday, December 4th with 21% off. The early bird really catches the worm this Christmas as savings drop each day. Hurry down for early Christmas savings at Grand Bahama Tiles. Call them at 352-7920.
Then to get sassy, so you ain't gonna bring in this yard.
Let's go drive.
Listen, man, you know how much coconut I got in steel, man?
Let's go.
Instead.
Boy, you lock up. Sajai.
Instead, who is Sassy Sue?
They tell me I can borrow Sassy Sue, the Sassy Sue.
Saj,
I ain't telling you can touch my boat. Everybody lock up! Best of the Best is back on Montague Foreshore from December 4th to December 7th, so I can see you there.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
Running out of space? We've got room for that. Welcome to Skyline Storage, your trusted self-storage solution. Skyline Storage offers units from 5x10 to 10x30, climate-controlled or standard dry. Perfect for home or business. Located in Westfield Commerce Park, Western New Providence. Your belongings stay safe with gated access and 24/7 surveillance starting at $175 a month. Reserve, pay, and move in online. No phone calls, no paperwork. Visit SkylineStorage.com. Skyline Storage. Storage made simple.
Residents of the Exuma Keys have been outspoken in recent weeks. In September, many were very happy to see ground broken for the $200 million Rosewood Exuma luxury resort. Since then, though, nothing has happened as the project has stalled due to a court injunction. Well, this evening, Mandel Miller joins me. Mandel, good evening to you. Welcome to Be on the Headlines. It's good to have you here.
Good evening, Shanique. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, absolutely. And Mandel, the reason you're here is because you have taken on this project really as a personal mission, but it happened because a number and growing numbers of residents throughout the Keys have reached out to you to assist and raise awareness of where they stand, where the project stands, what's happening with the project that had such hope in terms of job and spin-off opportunities for particularly residents of the Exuma Keys. What's happening as far as you can tell us?
Well, Shanique, as far as I know, I found myself in a very unique position where I've been frequenting the Stanley Key and Black Point community for a number of years now, doing community initiatives in the community, seminars and so forth for the well-being of the people. Mm-hmm. And so recently, persons knowing that I'm connected to you in some kind of way reached out and said, Mandel, can you please, by any chance, have a look into what's going on here from our point of view and lend your voice to it if you feel that it's something that we're speaking to. And so I took a trip down to Stanley Key and heard from some residents myself and was able to go into Black Point community and talk to residents there as to what's going on as it relates to the project. Being from a small community in Matthew Town, I understand what our small communities on the Family Islands endure when it comes to development and the need for economic injection in those communities. And so there in Stanley Key, after speaking to residents, the fear that residents is experiencing is a result of having seen so many projects come into the Keys that start and don't stop. I mean, start
and don't finish.
And don't finish. And so they're now of the opinion that there's a great possibility that there's some sort of collusion or something going on where investors possibly are using environmental concerns along with the voices of residents that truly don't understand what's going on the ground as a mean to use the courts to stall and squash these projects. It's happened in Stanley Key with a particular gentleman that owned a resort or had a proposed plan for building a resort in Stanley Key.
Oh, so this is why they're saying, wait a minute, this is going down that same path.
And that's what they believe because residents had high hope for that development at the time. That particular developer had started an airline company that was again bringing more injection into the island, more residents, more guests. And as a result of that court battle, it just went up into smoke and residents do not want to see that now happen with the Rosewood project.
Well, I'm very familiar with the Rosewood project. If you all would remember, the owner, Felipe McLean, appeared on this show twice or three times. In fact, it may be three times. And then we also went, along with other media houses, we went to Sampson Key for the groundbreaking. And again, it was the most amazing thing. The boaters, those who operate ferry boats and conduct tours, those who are looking for spin-off opportunities, those who are looking for jobs, were extremely excited and spoke with us about what this means for the children, for those graduating high school, for those looking for jobs, for those looking to be able to have own businesses, all obviously directly or indirectly related as in terms of spin-off. They were extremely excited that day. We spent several hours there in Exuma and Sampson Key, and now what's their state of mind?
Residents since then, Shanique, with all that high hope for investment coming into their communities, are losing hope, like I'm saying, and the result is having seen this happen before. So based on what residents communicated to me, they're of the opinion that persons that are private owners within the Keys, that are foreign direct investors, have retained the service of environmentalists that are using the environment and the voices of Bahamians in the communities as a means to stall and squash these projects.
So they feel it's a stalling measure
yes.
in order to frustrate, and hopefully the person just moves away.
For example, as it relates to this Rosewood project and the community in Staniel Key and Black Point, there's a particular consultancy firm that's leading the environmental charge in this instance. And that firm has launched a petition that's been signed by some 6,000, 7,000 plus persons.
Oh, really?
Now, in Staniel Key, the population is less than 150 persons that live there. In Black Point, similarly, it's not over more than 500 plus people that live in these communities. So you have an extension of some 5,000 plus people that are signing these petitions that generally do not live in these communities. However,
Farmers Key, all of that, they have nothing those people immediately sort of attached have nothing to do with this petition you're saying.
Well, we understand, the residents are saying that they understand that people are concerned about the environment, but however, they don't think people understand the correlation between what's happening with this project and the environment, or even previous projects as it relates to the environment.
So let's talk about that. What this project, again, I'm not new to it. I've spoken with the owner. I've spoken with the Department of Environmental Protection. I've followed this because again, he has appeared on this show minimum 3 times, and then we went to Exuma, so that's now a handful of times. He has stressed that he has gone above and beyond what's required environmentally to ensure that it's protected. More recent than that, I think it may have been last week, if not the week before, this same person, Felipe McLean, said he's revising the plan. Can you tell us what that is about?
I haven't had the opportunity to speak to Mr. McLean as yet or have a meeting with him. I have sent some correspondence. I haven't gotten any response back. But again, I'm in this as a result of being an observer and an advocate for the community based on the fact that they have family, friends, and others that live there, business people that live there. And so for me, one of the key things that a lot of residents brought to light was, you would remember some years ago, as far back as 2012, there was a project inside the Exuma Keys on one of a private island called Bell Island. That project itself had far more dredging that is proposed by the Rosewood project, and after seemingly, I guess, some donations that were made to the National Trust.
Allegedly.
Persons are of the opinion that things went quiet and that project was allowed to proceed. Similarly, there's a project next door to the Rosewood project called Turtle Grass Project, where they have a foundation also that has just celebrated having made $1 million plus in donation to the National Trust. And so again,
in fact, I think it is the Turtle Grass project that's pushing back against
that seemingly has filed a petition.
This Rosewood
and has engaged this community consultant.
So you were saying what you were saying, and what the residents are saying, Mandel, be aware of this. You were saying dredging has happened all throughout the Exuma Keys.
I was,
and dredging has happened to make other projects come to life. No destruction of the environment or real substantial damage have taken place, and it'll be the same thing with this project.
Shanique, I was provided by residents of the Keys, not residents. I was provided with images of 12 different projects in the Keys that have had dredging done.
Eric, if you can put those, we have some pictures there that we want to show.
That have had dredging done in their projects, and the dredging that was done in these various projects are major in comparison, this is one of the projects in Sandal Key where their moorings are creating that natural bed. And then here you have another project that's done dredging. This is another. There's one in particular.
But the Exuma Keys is huge, is developed significantly
This one here
throughout.
in particular with a seawall that's included. Also, Rosewood has a seawall that they're proposing is one of the greatest catastrophes. I'm not a scientist, Shanique, but I'm saying as a community advocate, we need to find some medium ground where the advancement of these projects that provide economic injection into these communities can happen. This notion of where it seems as if the environmentalists are there to protect the interests of their foreign clients more so than protecting the well-being of
the
Bahamians
quality of life
and the quality of life of Bahamians.
And the empowerment of Bahamians.
Exactly. And so when you're also using the voices of Bahamians in these communities, for example, in Stanley Key, there was a particular investor that was ran out of Stanley Key. The persons that would have that did this, they used the fact that they purchased
so this
property.
thing that's highlighted, that's everything that's highlighted that we saw a moment ago.
That's dredging.
Is where dredging took place.
I believe this is Bell Island here.
Mandel,
That's
I'll
in the
tell you,
Exuma Keys.
Okay, well, we know there's many keys in the Exuma Keys, and most of them, if not all,
In the land and sea park.
a significant amount of them are developed.
Yes.
So obviously some kind of work happened. Well, listen, Beyond the Headlines is committed to following this and seeing exactly where this leads. Because why? I remember the first time speaking with and interviewing Felipe McLean. He came back repeatedly. We went to Exuma and all was happy. The Prime Minister even said, listen, he gives a stamp of approval to this project. The Deputy Prime Minister
Yes.
and the Member of Parliament for Exuma and their keys and I think Ragged Island was also there at the groundbreaking and said it's a good thing for the residents of Exuma. See, that's the bottom line here. I talked about Mayaguana before, but I'm talking about Exuma. What is best for our residents, for all of us to get a hand up? People want just an opportunity, Mandel.
Shanique, I find it amazing that the government of today can greenlight a project such as this, and then you still get this kind of pushback from whomever it may be. But my hope is that...
No, we'll follow it, Mandel. You don't even have to try rush to that point. I want you to come back. Let's see this through. Let's talk about this. Get some more people. Let me hear some more, what's happening. Get Felipe McLean even. But we want, because I remember
I'm hoping he can reach out to me.
He is revising it. And so let's do it. Listen, I thank you very much, Mandel. Beyond the Headlines, we'll stay on top of this. Remember, I've committed to several islands and have been doing so since sitting in this chair. Well, now, Exuma and the Exuma Keys is among them.
He says to tell you, Shanique, thank you for hearing them and their concerns. And there's a lot more they say that they'd love to share with you directly.
This platform stands open to assist. Thank you very much, Mandel Miller. Also to my Hot Topics panelists, my contributors, a big thanks to them as well. And to all of you, thank you very much for hanging out all week long here on Beyond the Headlines. It's been awesome having you along. For my entire production team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a blessed weekend, everyone.